It's hard being a teenager. I mean, even if your parents are perfect and they love each other, they really even like each other, it's hard. Just the transition from childhood to adolescence and then the pressures that we put on teenagers in our culture. But when your parents stop loving each other and when they get to the point that they divorce, your world can completely crumble. In this book, Gracie's family, that's Haley's best friend, her mom and dad are splitting up, and it's ugly, it's bitter. And as a child, your parents are supposed to be your foundation, right? They're supposed to be there all the time. And when they pull apart, sometimes kids can feel like they're falling through the cracks, and that stinks. There's this myth in American culture that at one time we had the perfect American family, and it was a heterosexual mated pair, as Haley calls it in the book, a mom and a dad and children. And they loved each other and lived happily ever after. And that works for some families, but not, I think, for most. Think about all my friends and all the friends of different relatives I have. Families are not so much about ties of blood. Families are about ties of the heart, right? The love that connects people. Sometimes you love people that you actually shared DNA with, other times not so much. That's not what matters. What matters is who in your life makes you feel safe and whole. In America now, we're to the point where anybody can be a parent, everybody can be a child, and it's awesome. It's about time, that everybody can exhibit and share what it looks like and feel like to be a true family. In this book, Haley's dad's girlfriend, for part of her life is awesome, for part of her life is not. And frankly, I don't think that would have been any different if that woman had been Haley's biological mother. Families, I think, sometimes are defined as much about how they deal with hard times as how they celebrate good. So Haley and her family, I think, are a great, honest reflection of where our world is today. If I wanted to design an institution that was guaranteed to break the spirit of most teenagers, I would design the average modern American high school. Take teens at the point in their life when they most need strong, consistent relationships with adults that they can trust, relationships that have built up over time, then throw them into the mix with 3,000 other hormonally charged, confused people and guarantee that they have different teachers every subject and different teachers every semester. What a great way to screw everybody up. Yeah, I'm really irritated at the way we've designed our high schools in America, and I don't want to listen to any more excuses about this is all we can afford, because that's a lie. We could afford it if we put our will behind it. I hope that teenagers will see a reflection, if they're frustrated with their school, of their life within Haley's experience in the book, and maybe we can actually start having constructive conversations about these things. As a writer, you can't put a message into a book because that almost guarantees that the book stinks. However, for some readers, the themes of addiction are going to resonate, particularly if they have a family member, or mom or dad or a sibling who's struggling with substance abuse. Addictions are complicated because they never develop out of themselves. They're always a response. People who are addicted are hiding from their pain. So if you're somebody that you love is dealing with addiction issues, you have to, first of all, cope with somebody, getting high or getting drunk all the time. But understand, too, that underneath all that, that person you love is really suffering, and you want to help. So years ago, I was in Texas on a book tour, and a kid towards the front row looked at me, raised her hand. She was very concerned. I've been talking about all my books, and she goes, "Miss, are you okay? I mean, your books are all really depressing." And she was like, she didn't quite ask if I was medicated, but I think it was there in the back of her mind. But the truth is that I have a great relationship, a great marriage, and I love being in love. But that question got me thinking. And I wanted to, in this story in particular, put in a love story, because that's the journey that all adolescents go through. As you're separating from your family of origin, right, you start creating your family of friends and that person that you fall in love with. So in this book, I had to figure out how to get both of those plot lines to intertwine, and it's really fun writing romance, I have to say. I'll be doing that again.
What did you eat for breakfast?
I had salmon and grapefruit.
Who's your literary crush?
Oh, Neil Gaiman.
What was the last book you read?
The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman.
What would you be if you weren't a writer?
I'd be a landscaper.
Who's your favorite band?
Ooh, Coldplay and Dave Matthews.
Favorite TV show of the moment?
Scandal.
Favorite quote?
Handle it.
Favorite food?
Popcorn.
Best gift you've ever received?
My engagement ring.
What advice would you give your teenage self?
Hang in there, it's going to be a whole lot better soon.